The rain tapped softly against the windows of the sprawling estate, a gentle rhythm that filled the quiet evening. The air inside the mansion was warm, scented with cedar and old books, as the last light of dusk faded beyond the rolling hills. James Carter, a man whose name carried weight in the city, sat in his study, the glow of a single lamp casting long shadows across his desk. At 42, James was a figure of quiet strength, broad-shouldered, with dark hair streaked faintly with gray, and eyes that held a depth of loss and resolve. His wealth, built from years of careful investments, surrounded him in the form of polished wood, leather-bound books, and art that whispered of a life carefully curated. Yet, the house felt empty, save for the small, bright presence of his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily's laughter was the only sound that ever seemed to fill the vast rooms. She was a wisp of a girl, with golden curls that bounced when she ran and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Tonight, she was curled up on a velvet couch in the study, her favorite stuffed rabbit tucked under her arm, humming a tune she'd made up. James watched her, his heart softening. Since her mother's passing 3 years ago, Lily had been his anchor, her questions and wonder pulling him through the fog of grief. But the mansion, for all its grandeur, was a lonely place for a little girl and a man who carried the weight of his losses. Outside, the rain grew heavier, drumming steadily against the glass. James glanced at the clock, nearly 8. Time for Lily's bedtime story. He was about to call her over when a faint sound caught his ear. Not the rain, but something else, a soft, uneven thud against the front door. He frowned, setting down his pen. The estate was gated, secluded. Visitors didn't come unannounced, especially not on a night like this. He rose, his footsteps muffled on the thick carpet, and made his way to the foyer. The heavy oak door creaked as he opened it. Rain swept across the stone steps, and there, slumped against the porch column, was a woman. Her dark hair was plastered to her face, her clothes soaked through, clinging to her shivering frame. She was young, perhaps in her late 20s, with a delicate face smudged with dirt and exhaustion. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow, as if she'd collapsed where she stood. James froze, his mind racing. Who was she? How had she gotten past the gate? And why here, of all places? Lily, stay in the study, he called softly, his voice steady but firm. He stepped out into the rain, kneeling beside the woman. Her skin was cold, her lips faintly blue. She didn't stir as he touched her shoulder. Without thinking, he scooped her up, her weight slight in his arms, and carried her inside. The warmth of the house enveloped them as he laid her gently on the settee in the living room. He grabbed a blanket from a nearby chair and draped it over her, his movements careful, deliberate. Lily's small voice broke the silence. "Daddy, why is she sleeping here?" She stood in the doorway, clutching her rabbit, her wide eyes fixed on the stranger. James turned, his expression softening as he crossed to her. "She's not sleeping, sweetheart," he said gently, kneeling to meet her gaze. "She's tired and cold. We need to help her." Lily tilted her head, her curls swaying. "Is she okay?" "I don't know yet," James admitted. "But we'll take care of her. Can you get me a glass of water from the kitchen?" Lily nodded, scampering off, her little feet pattering against the hardwood. James returned to the woman, checking her pulse, steady, but weak. He fetched a towel and carefully dried her face, brushing the wet hair from her eyes. She stirred slightly, a faint murmur escaping her lips, but didn't wake. Her clothes were worn, the hem of her jacket frayed, and her shoes were caked with mud. Whoever she was, she'd been through something. Lily returned with a glass of water, holding it out proudly. "Here, Daddy." "Thank you, Lily," he said, taking it and setting it on the table. "Now, let's let her rest. You can help me by picking out a book for bedtime, okay?" Lily hesitated, her eyes lingering on the woman. "Will she be here when I wake up?" James paused, unsure how to answer. "We'll see," he said finally. "Come on, let's get you to bed." As he tucked Lily in, reading her a story about a brave rabbit who found a lost star, his mind was elsewhere. The woman on the settee was a mystery, a puzzle that didn't fit into the ordered world he'd built for himself and Lily. After kissing Lily goodnight, he returned to the living room. The woman was still there, her breathing steadier now, the blanket rising and falling with each breath. He sat in an armchair across from her, the rain a soft hum in the background, and waited. Hours passed. The clock struck midnight, its chimes echoing through the quiet house. James was dozing when a faint cough startled him awake. The woman's eyes fluttered open, hazy with confusion. She tried to sit up, wincing, and James leaned forward. "You're safe," he said softly, his voice low and calm. "You're in my home. You were outside in the rain." Her eyes, a deep hazel, met his. They were wide, wary, like a cornered animal's. "Where am I?" she whispered, her voice hoarse. "You're at my estate, just outside the city," James said. "I'm James Carter. My daughter and I found you on the porch. Can you tell me your name?" She hesitated, her fingers tightening on the blanket. "Emma," she said finally. "Emma Grayson." "Emma," he repeated, nodding. "What happened to you? How did you end up here?" Her gaze dropped, and for a moment, she seemed to shrink into herself. I was running," she said, her words halting. "I didn't know where I was going. I just kept moving until I couldn't anymore." James frowned, sensing the weight behind her words. "Running from what?" She shook her head, her lips pressing into a thin line. "It's complicated. I don't want to drag you into it." He studied her, the way her hands trembled slightly, the way her eyes darted to the door. She was scared, that much was clear, but she wasn't ready to share why. He decided not to press her, not yet. "You're safe here," he said again. "You can stay until you're feeling better. There's a guest room upstairs." Emma looked at him, her expression a mix of gratitude and suspicion. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." James leaned back, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Because you needed help, and because my daughter would never forgive me if I didn't." At the mention of Lily, Emma's face softened. "Your daughter? She's the little girl who was here." James nodded. "Lily. She's 6. She's probably dreaming about rabbits right now." Emma's lips twitched, almost a smile. "She sounds sweet." "She is," James said, his voice warm. "Now, let's get you settled. You need rest." He helped her to the guest room, her steps slow and unsteady. After showing her the bathroom and leaving a set of dry clothes, some of his late wife's, still tucked away in a drawer, he returned to the living room, his thoughts heavy. Emma was hiding something, but her fear was real. He couldn't turn her away, not when she had nowhere else to go. The next morning, the rain had stopped, leaving the world outside bright and glistening. Lily was up early, her energy boundless as she helped James make pancakes. When Emma appeared in the kitchen doorway, dressed in the oversized sweater and pants James had left for her, Lily's face lit up. "You're awake," Lily chirped, bouncing in her chair. "Do you like pancakes?" Emma blinked, clearly startled by the warmth in Lily's voice. Yes, I do," she said, her voice softer than the night before. She glanced at James, who gestured to an empty chair. "Join us," he said. "There's plenty." Over breakfast, Emma was quiet, but Lily filled the silence with chatter about her rabbit, her favorite books, and the garden she wanted to plant. Emma listened, her guarded expression easing as she watched Lily's animated gestures. James observed them, a strange warmth settling in his chest. It had been a long time since anyone but Lily had sat at this table. As the days passed, Emma stayed. She was hesitant at first, but James insisted, citing the need to ensure she was fully recovered. The truth was, he wasn't ready to let her go, not because of her, exactly, but because of the way Lily's face brightened when Emma was around. Emma, for her part, began to open up, helping with small tasks around the house, reading to Lily, even laughing at her endless questions. But James saw the shadows in her eyes, the way she flinched at sudden noises, the way she avoided questions about her past. One evening, as Lily slept, James found Emma in the library, staring out at the moonlit garden. "You don't have to tell me everything," he said, standing beside her. "But if you're in trouble, I can help." Emma's shoulders tensed, but after a long pause, she spoke. "I was running from someone I trusted once. He's not a good man. I thought I could start over, but I didn't know where to go." James nodded, his jaw tightening. "You're safe here," he said again, the words a promise. "As long as you need." The twist came quietly, not in a dramatic revelation, but in the slow realization that Emma wasn't just a stranger passing through. She was a mirror to James's own loneliness, a reminder that healing could come in unexpected ways. Over the weeks, the three of them formed a fragile, unspoken bond. Emma began to teach Lily how to draw, her sketches filling the house with new life. James found himself looking forward to their quiet evenings, the sound of Emma's laughter mingling with Lily's. One morning, as spring bloomed outside, Emma stood in the foyer, her bag packed. "I can't stay forever," she said, her voice steady but sad. "You've given me more than I can ever repay." Lily clung to her hand, tears in her eyes. "Don't go," she whispered. James stepped forward, his heart heavy but certain. "You don't have to go," he said. "There's a place for you here. Not as a guest, but as family." Emma's eyes widened, her breath catching. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, she knelt and hugged Lily, her own tears falling. "Okay," she whispered, "I'll stay." The rain had long since stopped, but the warmth in the house lingered, a quiet promise of new beginnings. James watched Emma and Lily, his heart full, knowing that sometimes, the people who needed saving were the ones who saved you in return.